a cantor.
Hey, what do you think about opening the ark?
We could, yeah. Sure,
Well,
do it. Why not?
yeah, when it's
do you wanna
time
do
to
it when
stand
you,
up.
Why don't you do
Oh,
it
oh.
collect when we start? Like officially, do you want to do it?
Sure.
All right, I'll bring you up to do that. Yeah, we got to have videotape for Yom HaShoah, and Brenda Feldman is a wonderful director, and she tells you, go here, go there. She's like, what do you think of the lighting here? I said, Brenda, I literally don't care. You know, you direct.
Yeah, Yom HaShoah is going to be taped again like it was last year. About an hour. Tune in, watch it that morning at 11 a.m. I think we've hit on something. I really do. As much as it's nice to have a large group together, for that event, it's challenging.
Yeah.
And by producing the whole thing on video, it can be more powerful.
So true. So very true.
We're on.
All right, we welcome everyone wherever you are. Those of us in our sanctuary, we are so grateful to be warm.
What is it about the damp chilliness of today?
Yeah, Nancy Myers, who's Jim Myers' daughter, a rabbi in from California, she's in from LA, and it's nice and shiny there, and the oranges. And yesterday we had a funeral, and she led the service. And it was pretty warm day for Buffalo, but she said, "Oh my God, it's so cold." It is really a shock to your system when everything is so nice and then just switches on a dime. Actually, we had a school event this week, and my son was in the orchestra or in the band, and the band director said, you know, we made a promise about if it was going to snow again, something would happen. He said, well, it's going to snow on Sunday. So how do you like that? Let's take a nice deep breath of Shabbat air. We'll breathe in everything that we want to hold on to on this Shabbat. We breathe out everything we want to let go of. It's really, really important that we really process our past week. It's so hard. Sometimes we say, well, what happened this last week? It's hard to even remember. But it's very important that we try to just, even for a moment, to kind of do that. And I think that's what Shabbat is about. So one more deep breath in and out. All right, we're going to begin with music from the Psalms, Hine ma tovu ma'anayim. And if you do want to follow along, we are using Mishkan Tefillah for those of you joining virtually, and we are on page 128.
Hine ma tovu ma'anayim shever achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma'anayim shever achim gam
of course, is a melody we often did outside in the parking lot. So it kind of felt like warm weather was coming right in.
I
there, right?
know.
Yeah, reflexively, I remembered I have my little part in there, and I was like, I need to be doing it out there.
Oh, can't wait.
Not today, though.
Not today.
I'd like to bring over Bruce Chorus, and he's going to welcome you, but he's also going to do something we haven't done in a while. I decided to, or Bruce offered to come up and open the Ark.
As we're getting used to being back in this space again, there are things, by the way, Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. There are things that we, kind of drifted away from a little bit. I think one of these days, I think we can go back to putting wine in the Kiddush cup. I think we can do that. But, we come in, and it's a wonderful place to be, but we look up at our beautiful Ark, and the Ark used to always be open for a Friday night service. And I said, why don't we go back to that? Let's get back into the swing of things that we just haven't done. So I'll go up there in a second and do that. In the meantime, quick reminder to those of you in the building that we are continuing to be mask optional. What you are comfortable with, they are recommended, but it's what you are comfortable with. And we're maintaining social distance in the sanctuary. And for those of you watching at home who are thinking, well, should I come in? Should I not come in? We are very careful with the social distancing, and we have chairs set up in the social hall if you want to be a little further distant from other people. It's entirely what you're comfortable with, but we think it is very important that we continue to be in person for those of you that want that. I know that a number of other synagogues have said, we're virtual until this date, or we're still virtual until this date, and we made the decision when we could that we need to be back together in person. So that's what we're doing. I will be back a little bit later with announcements. We have a lot of stuff coming up, and I'm going to go open the Ark.
Wonderful. We do have a birthday in our congregation. Hillary over there. Would you and Steve like to come up and light our candles? Can we cajole you? I'm sorry. Hopefully they work appropriately, and don't blow them out, even though it was your birthday this week. Customs are so funny because, what works in one area doesn't work in another area. And it's, if you blow out your birthday candles, that is completely appropriate and not good on Shabbat. The candle lighting itself is on page 120 in our prayer books. 120. You might have seen Cantor coming down over here. We are going to be reading from the Torah. She'll be reading in a little bit, so we got the microphone all set up.
You reminded me when you said we're getting things back to normal. My heavens, we haven't been worried about that lectern table too much on a regular basis.
Wonderful job, Steve. All right. So do you want to lead or you want Cantor? Go for it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Oh, lift the cup. Perfect. Okay. Kiddush is on page 123, our one-day full cup.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei b'riah gafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodesho v'ahava v'ratzon hinhilanu zikaron le'maseh v'reshit ki hu yom techilah lemikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim ki ציוונו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim, to life, and it can be whatever drink. It's like manna, whatever drink you'd like in there. What did you choose?
Feels like Shabbat.
Maybe a really nice wine we'll give you there. Why don't we turn to page 126? It's a prayer of gratitude that we'll read together, 126. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us, and to bring that vision to life. Amen to that.
Amen.
We're going to welcome in Shabbat officially, on page 138. We'll sing together the first verse of Lecha Dodi, and then we'll rise and we will sing the last verse, number 9. We will face the doorway over there. And if you're joining us virtually, whatever doorway you got, it could just be your computer screen. And we bow to the Shabbat bride as she enters into our room, and we can feel the joy of her presence. Then we wave to each other with our kingly and queenly wave as a reminder that we're still somewhat in the pandemic. Turn to page 146 for our Baruch, our call to prayer.
La 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la
Let's look at the top of page 149, and we'll read together in the English there. These are, as you can see on the page, all different versions of the same prayer, and this is about calling out to the evening lights. Praise to you, Adonai our God, for whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sails of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, for whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hamariv haravi. We continue singing out for God's love, page 150, Avat Olam, 150.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגן יומם ולילה באהבתך התסיר ממנו רבים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל
152, 153, the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. 154, the V'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מיותיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות הידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 157 at the top as we prepare for the Mechamocha. Please join with me, 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 158, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha, ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha, netam hakodesh, nara tehillah, hosef ele, nara tehillot, hosef ele, malchutecha, ra'uvanecha, livnei Moshe u'Miriam, zirianu v'yameru, Adonai imach, Adonai imach, le'olam va'ed. V'nema, ki v'Adonai et Yaakov, ha'gadol mer chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gol Yisrael.
Blessed are you, God, the Redeemer of Israel. We're going to turn to Vishamru, and I'm going to need Linda's help here. Please help me, Linda. Please help me with the clapping. Vishamru.
Vishamru, b'nei Yisrael, hashavat, la'asot et hashavat, v'torotam berit olam. Vishamru, b'nei Yisrael, hashavat, la'asot et hashavat, v'torotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael, hashavat, la'asot et hashavat, v'toratam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael, hashavat, la'asot et hashavat, v'toratam berit olam. Vayom ha'shevi, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael, hashavat, la'asot et hashavat, le'toratam berit olam.
See, I realize I've been doubly blessed with clapping. I'm the loudest clapper and the person who literally can't hear the melody. It's a wonderful combination. We are going to turn now to our silent tefillah, which is found on page 164 and goes all the way through 180. I invite you to rise now, find your own place to address God, and whenever you're ready, you may be seated. very important we pray for peace now. It really weighs on us in this world, and we hope our prayers will go to where they're needed. But I can feel your passion, Cantor, and in this time in particular, it's so needed. We're going to be turning to our healing prayers. And there's many people on our list, but in our extended community that we're thinking about, including people among us. And by saying and praying together, we make sure that people aren't forgotten. And we hope that our prayers give strength for whatever people are facing. So we are thinking about Rachel Anderson, Sally Anderson, Sean Barnes, Stephen Bernstein, Dr. Erwin Burstein, William Wade Boker, Ebony Burse, Dave Bush, Vito Cavallari, Dolores Denzel, Arthur Dezelke, Doris Epstein, Sue Frank, Nancy Hersbrunn, Tracy Kasman, Elizabeth Kent, Gail Kleberg, Mark Nightinger, Manny Queechin, Peter Mackler, Helene Mesh, Jill Shire Monahan, Carol Olashansky. Sorry, we got to take that list off. That's what happens on occasion. Jeffrey Radlin, and who's doing much better, I can take him off too. Brandon Ryan, Barry Schoenfeld, David Shevat, Christopher Smith, Paul Staley, Margaret Stevenson, Athena Tucker Pasiak, Jean Turansky, Anita Weisel, Hannah Ezra Ben Shuel, Rachel Shoshana, and Sarah Gittel Bat Chaya Vedina. If you have other names you'd like to offer?
Roger Marchioni, Linda Vegas, and Ansha Michal Ben Chava.
We bring all those names together into our hearts, and we are going to be singing the Misha Berach that's on page 371.
Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mir sheberach imavotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
A complete healing of body and soul. We have the opportunity tonight, as I said earlier, to turn to our Torah service on page 366. And Bruce has already opened part of the ark. We're going to open the full ark, and we're going to invite everyone to rise. And you'll see we still have our white Torah covers, so maybe before high holidays we'll switch them back. But as we're singing this, we are going to be reading a very important section. We're going to be reading from the beginning, towards the beginning of Leviticus, called Shmini, about the dedication of the tabernacle. And there's a very tragic accident of Nadav and Avihu that occurs where Aaron's two sons are killed. And it always makes me think of Susan Whaley and the terror that when we experience something like that. So I'd like to dedicate this moment also as we're reading in those kind of tragedies. Unfortunately, we're familiar even today with just that suddenness of it. It's so awful, and we can understand the fragility of that moment. So I'll open the ark, and Cantor and Paul, you want to start us off on the Torah service, and I'll even take a Torah out.
We're on page 366, if you want to follow along. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'am Yisrael v'kedushato.
So on page 366, we'll do responsively. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 368.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlul Adonai Iti Unarama Shemo Yadal.
Lecha Adonai HaGevura VeHaGevura HaTiferet VeHaNetzach VeHaHod Ki Chol Bashamayim Uvaretz Ki Chol Bashamayim Uvaretz Lecha Adonai HaMamlacha VeHavid Naseh Lechol Lerosh.
And we'll turn actually to the reading, which Harvey is going to tell me the page, and the hurts if you reach below your. I feel so out of practice, Cantor. I forgot some of the words because we've
Testing,
done it
1,
so
2.
little. All right, we're on page 443, and we'll do an aliyah together as a congregation, either sitting or standing, whatever your custom, reform or
Are
reconstruction.
you missing glasses?
I always hide extra pairs. With reading glasses, they only cost about $2, so you can hide them all over the place. And hopefully you find them.
I wonder if we have a yacht here, and we do.
Oh, yeah, I think so. And it's right at the top there. All right, let's do our collective blessing. Yamod Kihila, Baruchu et Adonai Hamvorach, Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Amim V'Natan Lanu et Torato, Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vayihi bayom hashmini karam Hashem Yaharon ulevanav uleziknei Yisrael. Vayomer el Aharon kach lecha egel ben bakar lechatat ve'ayu le'olah timimim והקרב לפני אדוני, ואל בני ישראל תדבר לאמור, קחו שעיר עזים לחטאת, ועגל וכבש בני שנה, תמימי לעולם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Wonderful. Just to give you a sense of what the translation is, yippee, we built the Mishkan. It took about 15, I don't know how many portions. We finally did it and we dedicated it. Yay! That's the spirit of the 8th day. So you got to experience that. So tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about the difference between a sacrifice and sacrificial, right? How many of you have made a sacrifice in your life? Anyone made a sacrifice? I think, is there any parents here? Come on. Or children? Are there any parents or children, that people that have had parents? I think we've all made sacrifices at one point, right? It's part of what makes society work. Some sacrifices are big and some sacrifices are little. The difference between a sacrifice and a sacrifice from the Torah is a sacrifice in the Torah isn't referring to, giving up your time to spend your day with your loved ones, or contributing money perhaps towards a congregation that you love, things like that. It's so much more than that. It is about people every day of their lives dedicating themselves to bring animals, grain, oil, to a whole system of religious beliefs that is a sacrifice, and that's why it's called sacrifice, because people, when they bring their animals, they don't have extra food from Wegmans. They have what they have. So if they bring an animal or if they bring grain, that's less food for them, and it is directly, as Barbara Hollander always used to remind me about the Levites. Oh, those Levites, they eat everything from everyone else and then complain all the time, right? She loved how all the food would come to them. So it really is a sense of sacrifice. And I want to capture that by talking about something that happened in my circle this week that's just an amazing story, and I really want to share it with you. And it gives me an opportunity, for better or for worse, to bring out my high school yearbook, which I have over here. My mother, of course, saves everything. I don't know, is Rella like that? Does she save everything? Yeah, they don't give you so much space at the Amberley. So. But here's the high school yearbook, and if you're really nice to me, maybe I'll show you. They didn't just give us, probably in most of your high schools, they give you like a little section with tiny picture. They give us a whole page. We have 45 kids in our class, and so every person, every graduate got their whole page, which for me was incredibly intimidating because I literally had no pictures at home. I had to use a caricature from 13. That was the last time I had something. Anyway, so that was part of the excitement of being at a small school. Sorry. So at this school, there is one beloved teacher. If you've been probably in your schools, I know Bruce does a lot of work with Sweet Home, there's probably few people that first they've been there forever and they are the school. They're kind of the life of the school. Yeah, Linda over here, you've been in your position a long time. You represent that school. Generations of kids come through that. And we had one teacher, and I'm going to show you, I brought this here because I have the only embarrassing photo, and I'm going to tell you about this photo, all right? So it's not a photo, this is a picture, a caricature. Anyone like the Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy? See any of these movies? Well, this Once Upon in Hollywood, you might have heard that movie. Yeah, the person who drew this is the editor of all those movies, Fred Raskin, and he drew me here being thrown into a classroom. And of this particular teacher, we would have to. There was no real locker room, so I think we had to get ready for our soccer games. In the hallway, and one of my classmates decided to throw me into his classroom. And I got a detention. That's the whole thing. I did get in trouble, but it wasn't my fault. I couldn't do anything about it. Anyways, the teacher in question in our school, his name is Harold Doc Gorvine. He went by the name Doc, D-O-C, because he had a doctorate in history from the University of Princeton University. And he could have gone anywhere, but he wanted to teach at a little tiny Jewish school in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And he really dedicated his life to doing that. all the way from the 1960s. Just to give you an idea how small the school is, it goes back to the early 50s. I think maybe it just had its 70th anniversary. And I think in total, there's probably been about 6,000 graduates in those 70 years. So you can imagine how small it is. But I still have stayed in touch with this teacher through Facebook. And occasionally over the years, I've gotten to see him and connect with him. But he's certainly been beloved for many years, and he's been teaching in the school since the early 60s. He only had retired a few years ago. But we got a very disturbing post on his Facebook page from his wife. This was just last week, just about a week ago. It says, "I know that the world might end at any moment, and that the countless trillions, billions," she has a sense of humor, "who inhabit our maybe soon-to-be former planet, but this is Natalie L. Lieberman Gorvine, Mrs. Gorvine, Mrs. Doc, all the same person, writing to tell you with profound sadness that your beloved, favorite, almost favorite Akiva," she goes on in a whole, I won't bore you, there was a name change, "is at 89 plus years old, birth date January 21st, 1933, is near the end of his earthly life, or however you conceive it, and would love to hear from you as soon as possible." So this went out in Facebook. And I want to read you some of the reflections that came back. And I want you to really pay attention to the idea of a sacrifice being every day. This is from Rabbi Andy Marrow, who I know from Philadelphia, a conservative rabbi. "Please tell Doc that he was the most impactful teacher of mine in my high school career and beyond. I loved seeing him in my adult life as well. I studied history in college because of Doc. Thank you, Doc, for teaching us how to learn, how to read primary sources, how to care deeply about the world." I'm going to keep going. This is from a woman named Donna, I didn't know. "Your positive and soulful impact is immeasurable. You are and will always be the best of the best. My favorite teacher, with an unmatched brilliance and intellect while being unassuming, relatable, humble, and kind." This is from a classmate, Ami Munson, a rabbi in Albany. "Doc, you are everyone's blessing. You impacted the lives of hundreds of students at Akiba. You taught and watched multiple generations of kids grow into game changers because of your incredible pedagogy. You made history interesting. You challenged us, forced us to think, and I truly believe that you loved each and every one of us in your own special way as individuals." From another, Shira Stein. "Doc, you lifted me up. You made me feel important. You taught me that to think critically was more valuable than having the loudest opinion in the room." I love that one. And this is from my classmate, the one who threw me in, who's the head, if you get anything with the Jewish Telegraph Association with a new name, 70 Heads. That's who, so you can blame him for this. Pirkei Avot directs us to find you a teacher, and one of my greatest gifts in life was that you were mine. You preached the primacy of primary text. In studying history, but even more importantly, you modeled that humility, decency, and compassion is what should matter most in how one conducts oneself in life. You taught us that to love something is to probe and challenge it. You taught through vulnerability, and though too often we took advantage, that's what he means, he threw me. The hijinks were always out of love, and more often than not led to a deeper classroom bond and produced a uniquely open intellectual environment. You are truly one-of-a-kind blessing. For all who had the privilege to be your student, I send my deepest gratitude and love. So we ended up learning over the course of the week that he actually wasn't dying yet. He needed to move into a home I think they were still living independently, and it was time to make that transition, which is extremely difficult and expensive. And so they put out a call for help, because as you know, those of you that are teachers, it doesn't always pay the best. And the money that you need for care is extremely, it's a sorry, excuse me, it's a lot of money. So his son reached out later in the week, and he put out a call for us to send in money, and they needed $36,000 in order to pay for, I think it's a month or two of extra aids for him. And they made it today. $36,000 in less than a week. What's amazing about the whole story is this is a person who was beloved in the school. Like, everyone could even imitate his voice. You have to go lower, like, He spoke really low. He's a very short guy. He always kind of had this way about him of just showing love, not in the way that you necessarily expect, but loving to converse and treat high school students like they were real people. And that made and continuing to follow them. What's really amazing is this is a person, like so many of us, I'm sure we know people like this. These are very rare individuals. They dedicate themselves not for any financial gain. This is a Jewish school. It pays the lowest of the low. He dedicated his entire career, when he could have taught probably at Princeton if he wanted to sharing his love of teaching and his passion for human beings year after year, day after day after day after day. And the impact he made, you can feel here. There was, I think, 200 responses in just 2 days to the email that the wife had sent out, and $36,000 raised, each one of $1,000, $100, $18. I think there was over 200 people that donated to his GoFundMe page. So when we think about sacrifices, it's not necessarily about the one-day sacrifice. He didn't make a one-day sacrifice, Doc Gorvine. He decided to do it every day of his life, just like the priest. There's a wonderful teaching from Rabbi Akiva, and our school was named after Akiva, which is from Pirkei Avot 3:15. All things are foreseen by God, yet the choice is given unto people, and the world is judged on its merits. This is basically saying you still have free choice, even though God's in control of everything. But this is important. All is according to the preponderance of work rather than the deed. It's kind of a confusing thing that's said, that Rabbi Akiva says at the end. What does it mean, the preponderance of the work as opposed to the deed? And this is how it's explained in the commentary. People are not judged for a single deed, but for a lifetime of good deeds. One charitable gift does not make someone a charitable person. Giving $1 million at one time is different than giving $10,000 in countless times. When we think about our actions, it is the people that show up, like you guys, every day, every time you're needed. The people that say, we're going to make a sacrifice on the good days, on the bad days, on the time that we don't think we can make it, when we have other plans to make, we're going to be there. Doc Gorvine is an example of that, and of course the entire sacrificial service as well. Let us really, in honor of Doc, let's celebrate those lives that push themselves every day in ways that we don't expect, that are not rewarded in a way that you can see, that are not given names of schools or roads, but make all the difference in the world. So Doc, wherever you are, grateful that you found a place that you can now hopefully feel good and your family can feel a little bit better. And I hope that whatever happens, that you know that you are loved in this world. And that goes out to all the teachers out there as well. Some of you have a Doc out there, right? You have you'll have to tell me every school, I have this feeling that every place has its own, that like every congregation has this type and that type, when you go through it. Anyways, so why don't we, last week we read a prayer by Sheila. I'm going to read it now, and then we'll go to Aleinu.
Sure.
Sheila's not here
That's
tonight.
it, yeah. You know, there's a special song.
Oh, would you like to?
Kaddish de Rabbanan.
Oh,
I don't know if it's in the, let me see if it's in the back
they
of the
usually
book
have
here.
all the Debbie Friedman ones.
Yeah, 667.
Should we do it to all our teachers? That
Yeah.
would be wonderful. Paul, you got it?
No, I don't think he knows it, but I'll try to remember it.
This was our graduation of rabbinical school. That's the song we
Oh,
chose. Yeah. So it
page
brings back.
667. For our teachers and their students and the students of their students, we ask for peace. Oh, I don't remember it now. And
We can read it. Let's read it then.
Okay,
Let's do
good,
that one.
good, good.
For our teachers and together,
their
and their students, and the students of the
their
students, we ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say Amen. And for those who study Torah here and there, everywhere, may they be blessed with all they need, and let us say Amen. We ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say Amen. That was really perfect. So Sheila Bernard Tucker is not here tonight. Her cat Simba has been having terrible health, so we send a lot of prayers to her. She wrote this beautiful prayer for Ukraine. I'm going to read it again tonight, and we'll head into Aleinu that way. I am Muslim, I am Sikh, I am Baha'i, Buddhist too. I am strength, I am passion, beating in every heart. I am a Ukrainian Jew. We are song, we are prayer, we are candles, restless flame. I am you, you are me, not at all different and very much the same. We are endless tears of goodbyes, we are women holding rifles into the night. I am you that has now become us. Together we walk into the light. With that in mind, let us turn to Aleinu, page 586.
עלינו לשבח לדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא ספגנו כהן, וגוררנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים מודים לפני ארץ מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני במלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. We turn to the mourner's Kaddish. We had several passings this week within our community. Henry New, who's the father of Dr. Jeff New, his funeral was in Chicago. I talked to Jeff. He definitely could use our prayers and thoughts. It's so very difficult. And as I had mentioned earlier, Carol Olashansky, who the memorial service was right, funeral service was right here in our Shir Shalom sanctuary. We send out love to the whole family. She had overcome cancer 4 times, 4 different treatments, and eventually succumbed. But what a fighter she was. On our Shloshim list from years past, we remember Lisa Fellman, Levi Gartman. It's hard even to say his name, an 8-year-old, the grandson of Elaine and Andy Green. Leslie Schumann Kramer, Carol Macon, Jean Rothstein, Liana Shaman, and Lillian Ungerleader. On our yard site list from years past, we remember Jerome Abelson, G. Bernard Erwitz, Thomas Bergman Sr., Nancy E. Masana Engel, Uri Ganger, Mayor H. Gordon, Rev. Emmanuel Gordon, Fanny Eisenberg, Donna Klazak, Jane Oved, Rose Pick, Levian Burt Reich, Stuart Singer, Jack Sperling, Stanley Taubin, Warren Tepper, Clara Theander, Lily Weiner, Joseph Weiss, and Isidore Zimmerman. If there's other names you'd like to offer? All those whose custom it is to rise, please rise, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach urte v'yamlik machute, v'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayed echol beit Yisrael, b'agalav v'zman kariv yimramin, yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmeo maya, yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shemei dekudashah b'rechu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran v'alma v'imramein, yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imramein, oseh shalom v'imramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May God grant us peace in our community and the world, and beyond. We say amen. May all their memories, zikrono livracha, zikronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. And we will turn it over to Bruce Chorus again. And since you guys were nice, I will show you my yearbook picture here. Let's see. It's embarrassing enough.
You know, when we hired you, you still looked like that picture.
Yeah, you'll see. It's true. It's not very far off. I guess I should look in alphabetical order.
All right, I'll do the announcements while you're
Then
looking.
I'll find it.
I'll set them up for you. Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. Thank you to Linda Bergman for helping out as our service greeter this evening. Thank you to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, Paul Staley for another warm service on a chilly night. Whether we're here in person or out there virtually, we're always together on Shabbat, and it's very, very nice. Speaking of virtual offerings, tomorrow morning we have Torah study at 9 a.m. and then something special for the Saturday morning service, 3 different service options through the Reconstructionist Convention. 2 of them are at 9:45, one is at 11:15. All of them are via Zoom. The website has those links. Community Religious School is in person Sunday morning. Special thank you to Dan Kester, president of our men's group. We had our first in-person men's group meeting and speaker in 2 years last night. Brought in Jonathan Epstein, who spoke about his career as a journalist at the Buffalo News. Really interesting stuff. We had about 10 people here and almost 30 people joining via Zoom. So that was really nice. Dr. Yunina Foster, we want to thank her for leading Shalom Ruach last Sunday night via Zoom. She's going to take a little bit of a break. They'll be back on Sunday, April 10th. Next Friday, we're doing something special for our Erev Shabbat service, 7 o'clock here in the building. Our guest speaker will be Father Drofich from St. John the Baptist Ukrainian Church. Now we are, they're sticking together here. There we go. That's a Catholic church. We are working with this church to provide much needed items for Ukraine. So again, in person unless otherwise notified. But that should be a special service to hear from someone like that. Speaking of Ukraine, Interfaith Prayer Vigil for Ukraine, that will be Sunday at 4 o'clock p.m. at Pilgrim St. Luke's United Church of Christ. That's down on Richmond Avenue, right, in the city? Richmond Avenue, I think, near Utica. That's at 4 o'clock. I'm looking at him because he'll be participating in it. Everyone is welcome, and that church does require masks. Women of Shir Shalom are meeting Wednesday, 7 o'clock via Zoom. They're planning all sorts of stuff. Stay tuned on that. Gift shop is open most Friday nights from 6:30 to 7 when we are in person. This month, we have a Passover sale, 20% off all Passover items. And Sue Frank, who is running the gift shop, is planning something really special for the next couple weeks as well. So stay tuned for information about that. Passover is coming up. Holy cow, so fast. We are going to be having a virtual second night Passover Seder featuring Grammy award-winning singer Joni Leeds, along with these two guys up here. But Joni will be the headliner. That's on Saturday, April 16th at 6 o'clock p.m. via Zoom. Google her. Really cool. That's a good get. Thank you, Cantor, for taking care of that, for arranging that. That's going to be really, really cool. Reservations for that are being accepted. Go to the Zoom link on our website to register. We have a comedy night coming up, not that far away. It's on Sunday, April 4th at Rob's Comedy Playhouse. It's Sunday night at 7:30. This is a joint event with Temple Beth Zion, so it's a fundraiser. The two temples are coming together to do this as a fundraiser, actually, for the Community Religious School, which is very nice. There are still a few tickets remaining. Tickets are $20 in advance, $25 at the door. That's if there's still seats available. It's limited, obviously, because of distancing. It's not, Rob's Comedy Playhouse is not the biggest facility, and so we're limiting the number of people there because of social distancing. It's a comedy night. We'll star Dan Eltano from Comedy Central and, of course, our own Rob Lederman. If you still want tickets, and there's just a few left, please talk to Joanne. Also, if you could donate items for a basket raffle, talk to Joanne as well. Gift cards, things like that. Anything you could do would be appreciated. We're going to continue, as we always have been, to monitor everything, all our events and protocols. We'll do it on a week-by-week basis, and if anything should change, we will let you know. Our priority is always to keep you guys safe. If you need anything, feel free to reach out to the rabbi, the cantor, Joanne, Todd, or myself. We are here for you. Shabbat Shalom. Be sure to help yourself to an onig to go. I see we're still giving out hamantashen. Okay. This is the last week for the hamantashen, right? Okay. Enjoy. Joanne overbaked on the hamantashen this year. She was in the kitchen for weeks making hamantashen, and so anyway. But take more than one as you leave. Let's clear out our hamantashen. Enjoy. By the way, if you would like to sponsor an onig to go at any time for a special occasion or for no occasion at all, talk to Joanne. It's always a nice way to give back to the temple community and to your fellow congregants. So with no further ado,
all right, so here it is. Again, we literally didn't take pictures of my house. So this was from my 13-year-old. That's the only picture I had they put me playing baseball. I didn't really play baseball, so that's kind of funny.
Your youngest son in it.
Yeah, and then I had to use baby pictures. Anyways, if you want to see, feel free. Since I brought the yearbook, I can be embarrassed. I think you played a little April Fool's joke. I think Rob's comedy is on Monday. Is that right?
No, I said Sunday, April 4th. No.
I think April 4th is Monday, though. Is that right?
April 3rd.
Is it April 3rd? What is it? I can't remember because his club does business on one of those days. It is Sunday. Okay, so it is Sunday, April 3rd. Okay. Because next Friday is April 1st. So if there's any April Fool's jokes, let's see. My youngest is turning 9 a couple days before, and we were so afraid he would come out on April 1st, but he became a jokester regardless. So we're going to conclude on 625 with Adon Olam. 625.
Adon Olam, Hashem Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Li'ed Nasa, B'chefso Kol, Hazai Melech Shemo Nikra, V'yacharei Kiflot Kol, Levado, Im Lo Nora, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hove, V'hu Yeh B'tifara. הפקיד רוחי ויתישן ויהירה ועם רוחי יביאתי אדוני לי ולא יירא
So in honor of Hillary, in honor of your birthday, you get the challah here. We're going to say the blessing over it, and you can pick it up right after services. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Please return your prayer books, minus the leaflet, to the prayer rack outside there where Bruce is pointing. Shabbat shalom.